Ah, hi. Yeah, I know it's been a while. You remember this camera? This is the Sony ZV-1. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about cameras in general, because I think it's very tough to find a camera that does everything right. I mean, it's pretty much impossible. Every camera has its strengths, but there's always something that could be better. But see, here's the thing that I've noticed just recently. The Sony ZV-1, while it's old, it's a very rare gem. It's not perfect, but does a lot of things very right. Let me explain. So, um, take the GoPro Hero, for example. It's tiny, it's got fantastic image stabilization, and it's perfect for action shots. But as soon as the lights dim, it struggles. And this is where you would need something like a bigger camera, like my Sony ZV-1 that I'm recording this video with, or something like the Sony. Um, this camera is amazing, but as you can tell, it doesn't exactly fit in your pocket, especially with a lens attached. So yeah, and this is one of the smaller full-frame cameras, actually. Now, here's the thing. The Sony ZV-1, it has really good image quality, pretty decent low-light performance, and you can actually toss this into your pocket. So when Sony first released the Sony ZV-1, they sort of marketed it as a vlogging camera. Now, I know, vlogging camera, it can mean different things to different people, but I think that they nailed the concept. It's got the flip-out screen. The sensor does great in low light, not to mention cool features like the built-in ND filter, super slow motion, or zooming capabilities. Now, of course, there are a couple of things that I don't like about it. Like, it's got micro USB, like seriously. The battery life, it's is not good. But the biggest deal breaker for me, and I know a lot of people will agree, was the field of view. It just wasn't wide enough for proper handheld vlogging. It just wasn't ideal. Now, sure, it does not have 10-bit log or 4K 60, which honestly I would have loved to see. But even without those features, the image quality is incredible. The colors are always vibrant and always look better than my iPhone 16 Pro Max. So even though the camera is a bit old now, I still see it in stores, and I'm still convinced that it's actually a great buy. It's so close to being perfect, it just sort of trips right at the finish line. So sadly, it's been like sitting in my drawer for the past 2 years. And a couple of months ago, I decided to give it another shot. And you know what? I'm loving it all over again. So when it comes to the Insta360 Ace Pro, I love this thing too, but it's mostly for summer. It's great for a lot of stuff, but once the sun goes down, it just can't handle the low light. Now, I know for an action camera, this one actually has the best low light performance, including the DJI Action Pro 5, but I still think that this thing falls short. And I mostly use my iPhone 16 Pro Max for B-roll in my YouTube videos, but when I compare the footage for my ZV-1, I find myself always preferring the ZV-1. Now, that's kind of funny because it doesn't have 10-bit log like the iPhone, but it just looks so much better. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the newer versions of the ZV-1. We have the ZV-1F and the ZV-1 Mark II. Both of these upgrades brought significant improvements, but they also removed some key features. Like, yes, you do get USB-C and a wider field of view, but they took away the built-in ND filter, optical image stabilization, and super slow motion. Weird, right? So here's my take. I think that Sony actually made the ZV-1 too good. The idea was to create a camera that was sort of like a stepping stone for the vloggers. You know, they would buy this and then they would move on to something better and way more expensive, like a full-frame camera. But the ZV-1 turned out to be so good that people just kept using it. And so when Sony released the upgraded versions, it sort of makes sense that they cut back on some of the features. It's not the nicest move, but from a business perspective, I get it. And lately, I've been pulling back on the idea of constant upgrade. It's just an endless cycle, always chasing the next best thing. Instead, I'm sort of focusing on adapting to what I already have. And the ZV-1, I think, still has a lot to offer. Sure, it does have its limitations, but I think that most of those limitations can be worked around in very simple ways. Like, for example, if the battery life is bad, just keep extra batteries on hand. If the wide angle isn't wide enough, just use a selfie, or the micro USB. It doesn't have to be a limitation if you don't charge your camera directly. You can just remove the battery and get yourself a USB-C external charger. My point is this: while everyone is rushing to get the latest and greatest, I'm sort of taking a step back and asking, can I still use this to create content that I envision? And the answer is yes. The ZV-1 still holds up in 2025, and it's still an incredible tool for creators like me. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want more content like this. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and keep creating. Take care. Bye.